So our brains functions in different frequencies, and those frequencies have ranges. When our brains are functioning outside of those frequency ranges, that's when we start having symptoms of, say, like ADHD or autism or anxiety or depression.
Hey everyone, this is Jen Foster with the Elite Expert Insider podcast. We're really excited today to dive in and talk to a #1 best-selling author about a lot of different things we want to dive into. She's a doctor, Dr. Candace Holmes, and we're going to talk about ADHD. We're going to talk about brain core neurofeedback, and just imagine a life where your brain works for you and not against you. And so whether you're a parent seeking solutions for your child or an adult managing your neurological challenges, then you're going to want to listen to this episode. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and just how you have a long journey to become a doctor, but just how you graduated into this stuff about about your brain.
Absolutely. My doctorate is in chiropractic. Goodness, I've been a chiropractor for over 2 decades now. Ooh, 2.5 decades. Wow, got to get the math right. And we were taught about wellness and health and trying to stay away from medications as often as possible. And my ex-husband and I had 2 daughters. Our oldest daughter was diagnosed with ADHD. And honestly, when I received the diagnosis, I was in shock and I was in denial. My ex-husband and I had been divorced since they were 2 and 4. And so my oldest daughter was diagnosed when she was 7. And I asked all my family members if anybody had ADHD because I had not heard of that in my family, and everyone said no. Then it occurred to me that my daughters have 2 sets of genes. And so I called my ex-husband's cousin and she said, it's most likely from our side. I'm like, okay. So I was trying to find a solution for her that didn't involve medications. My daughter has this bright light, and I just didn't want her to be, that light to be dimmed.
Muted.
For the experience side effects that most medications have.
Yeah.
When I was going through one of our chiropractic magazines, there was an article about neurofeedback. And it mentioned that there was a therapy that was drug-free and non-invasive and had results that can last up to 30 years. And I was like, whoa, what is that? I've never heard of that before. So called and found out more about it and spoke with the doctors there and decided to work with my daughter to see if it would help her.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit, what is neurofeedback and how does it affect your brain? What exactly is it?
Yes, what is it? Yes, that's exactly. Yeah. Those are exactly my questions when I call. What is this and how does it work?
Yeah,
and
well, what is it?
Yes. So neurofeedback is a sophisticated form of biofeedback. As we know, bio means life. So it's essentially feeding back to you what your brain, the signals that your brain is giving off to go into a database that can change how your brain functions. So our brains functions in different frequencies, and those frequencies have ranges. When our brains are functioning outside of those frequency ranges, that's when we start having symptoms of, say, like ADHD or autism or anxiety or depression. So neurofeedback is a way to retrain those frequencies to stay within those ranges. And all you're doing is looking at something on a television show or a movie for 30 minutes at a time. And I'm like, that's it? They're like, that's it. I was a former athlete. I am a former athlete. And so the more often you train anything, the better you become at it. Like I was a pitcher. I had a pitching coach. So the more often I trained with my pitching coach, my brain didn't have to even think about it. They would tell me what to throw. My hands would go on the ball and I would throw it. So that's muscle memory. But with neurofeedback, with the brain, it's called neuroplasticity. So that's exactly what we're working with in order to help change how the brain functions.
Okay, so you're basically just reading what your brain is doing and then changing your brain with frequencies. Is that correct?
Absolutely. In the system that I use, we do a brain mapping. A brain mapping is a functional assessment to show exactly what the brain is doing. So it shows us which areas are working well and which areas would do best with some help. And that's an objective finding. So they wear a cap and it has data, and it compares that data to the database of those in that particular person's age range to see where they fall in the ranges of functioning well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds good. So I have a child with ADHD, and we went and tried to do the neurofeedback, but I think like your approach to it sounds more not scientific, but more because you're a doctor and a chiropractor, like very credible what you're talking about. So the experience we had was at a spa type place that is known for more of massage and meditation and singing bowls and that kind of thing. And so I think it threw my child off because they thought it was woo-woo-y. And we were in a dark room with a singing bowl. And then all of a sudden there's a computer and it was reading stuff. And then anyway, regardless to say we left there and they didn't believe that what was happening actually happened. They thought it was just ruined.
Got you.
And
Got
so
you.
we never went back. But I like your approach of you are the doctor. I don't think she had a doctorate degree. And you know a lot of things. And now you're doing this neurofeedback
Yes,
study to help people. And you're actually retraining the brain.
absolutely. That's sometimes we come across things that sound too good to be true, right? And
Yeah.
of course, when I read the article, I'm like, sure. Even
Mhm.
when I went to chiropractic school, this looks great. It seems okay. And I'm like, wow, result after result. I'm like, wow. And there definitely is a
Mhm.
science to this.
Yeah.
Neurofeedback actually came to being from grants funded by the United States government way back when,
Mm.
because it's been here for over
Mhm.
60 years. It was found to help first epileptics, those who have to decrease their
Mm.
seizures. So that's how neurofeedback first came
Mhm.
about. And then they discovered, hey, it also helps with ADHD and autism and anxiety and PTSD
Mhm.
and traumatic brain, because everything starts in the brain. So if you are able
Yeah.
to retrain how this functions, everything else flows from it.
Yeah. Let's talk about autism and being on the spectrum, because I think some people don't really know for sure, like, what does that really mean? And how do I know my child has autism or maybe they don't have autism, but they're on the spectrum, meaning
Sure.
they have symptoms or some kind of functionalities.
Sure. Lots of times the symptoms of autism, ADHD can overlap. And so
Mm-hmm.
typically you get those books that talk about parenting and the milestones and things like that. And those are ranges. There are ranges of when those things can happen. Like when my daughter was born, she was 4 pounds, 10.8 ounces. I was 36 weeks and
So tiny.
36 weeks and 5 days. She was very petite, but she didn't have to go to
Yes.
ICU. She was very healthy. She was just petite.
Mm-hmm.
And so the doctors told me to expect some delays with those milestones. So when this milestone was supposed to happen around this time, it didn't happen. I was like, okay, the doctor told me to. But when you're around other children and you're socializing your children and you notice, wait a minute, my daughter isn't doing as necessarily what other children are doing, you have some
Mm-hmm.
inkling. You may not want to accept
Yeah.
it, but you do have some inkling. So when you have those
Mm-hmm.
inklings, I would suggest you go to a professional to get some testing to see, because even with my daughter, I was in denial so much. My cousin was like, why don't you just take her to such and such? Take her to the psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
see what she says, have all the testing done. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, there's nothing wrong with having the testing done. Because in my culture,
Yeah.
especially, we don't want our children on label because we don't want them to be treated
Right.
differently. And I'm sure that's across the
Mm-hmm.
board. I think it's gotten a lot better now than it was back when my daughter, that daughter is now 22. Go back to all that time when we were having some challenges with even just the mental health arena, even speaking about the challenges that our children have. I don't
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And does your child now struggle with ADHD?
Oh, goodness, no, not all of it. So she still has challenges with the organization. I go visit her dorm room and my eyes just go like this. Oh my God. Woo! I say, if you have a place for everything.
Right.
However, when my daughter was first diagnosed, she was having trouble focusing. Didn't have, she was socially awkward, so she didn't have a lot of friends. It was taking her about 5 hours a night to do homework because her comprehension skills were not so great. And it was honestly a nightmare. Then after neurofeedback therapy, and we started working with her, I started working with her on my program. Then she became the most focused in class, according to her teachers, so much she kept her peers on task. She went
Mm-hmm.
from 5 hours a night doing homework to 2.5 to 3, and I didn't have to help her anymore, which was,
Nice.
whew, just working off
Yeah,
what you
that's
have to do
great.
your second job. You're helping your children with homework is something else. She started getting A
Yeah.
in honors chemistry and physics when she was in high school. She tried out for the step team there, made that. Tried out for the softball team and made that. She started having tons of
Mhm.
friends, so much I couldn't even keep up with them before I could count on one hand. I'm like, isn't that such and
Mhm.
such? No, mommy, that's such and such. I'm like, excuse me, that's such and such. And so she's a senior now in college. I didn't
Mhm.
think she was going to go to
Mhm.
college. That's how badly she was struggling academically. She's studying to be an environmental chemist, and this is her senior year. And so I'm like, and she's always either on the president's list or the dean's list. So I'm very thankful. Very
Nice.
thankful
So
in her
tell
too.
us how did that therapy look like? So you went and got the neuro, like how did it work and how often did you have to go and how long does it take?
Sure. Quite honestly, I did not work with my daughter as much as I intended to when I invested in the system for her, because I bought it just for her. I didn't really, honestly, didn't care about
Mhm.
anybody else. She was my focus.
Yeah.
Um,
You're like, I'm not doing this for the business. I'm
no,
doing this
I'm
more
doing
to
this
just help my
for
daughter.
her. Yes,
Yeah.
we are a college educated family. She's third generation. So
Yeah.
I had to have, honestly, a come to Jesus moment thinking, okay, she may not go to college and I have to be okay with that. She may
Right.
not go to college. I have to be okay with multiple times. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Somebody just left out of
Oh,
my,
you're
my
good.
area.
Yeah, so how long or
How long? Yes.
how much did you work with her with the neurofeedback?
Yes.
Or
Oh,
how did
goodness.
the
So,
process
so we have an initial brain mapping, and then we do the training sessions in between, and then we have a follow up. According to my computer, I followed up at approximately about a year after we started. That is not the case now. That is not the case now. So now all our programs, people who have straightforward cases, which means they don't have any metabolic issues, no hormonal issues, can start seeing results after about 30 sessions, which on my programs is in about 2 weeks. And that's
Okay.
completing two
So
sessions a day.
so 3 sessions within 2 weeks.
No, two sessions
Oh.
a day. Hmm.
Oh, 2
Two,
sessions a day.
two sessions a day. You just have to have 4 hours in between. And I design my
Okay.
programs like that because why not get better faster if you can? Why not?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and then and then in 2 weeks, you've done your sessions.
you've done those sessions and you just start seeing those changes. So parents especially will see it's like those with ADHD, you'll start noticing that they're a little less fidgety or maybe they
Mm,
don't have excessive speech like they used to. I remember
mm,
my youngest daughter who is gifted and accelerated would tell me, Mom, you don't yell at her like you used to. And I was like,
mhm,
I don't. Because
mhm,
now everything was clicking, everything was connected.
mm,
Completing her homework, she
mhm.
didn't need my help. I was calmer because it's a
Yeah.
lot when you focus on one child in the family when they're having some challenges, and that's just what you do because you're trying to address that. And
Yeah.
I was speaking with someone else, I think yesterday, and glass child is something that came up, and he was like, "I just
Mm,
heard that." I said, "I heard that at the beginning of this year." Are you
mhm.
familiar with that term?
I'm not, but explain it a little bit, the glass
Sure.
child.
Glass child is the one who is neurotypical, the one who the
Mhm,
focus isn't on, the one who's typically very healthy because it's like
mhm,
the parents see through that child as if they're glass because they're so
mm,
focused on the one child. And we already
right.
have a lot of parent guilt going on when we feel like we're neglecting another
Mhm,
child. And I'm thankful that my youngest, again, was gifted and accelerated, was able to help herself. And she is a phenomenal person, just academically, athletically, and academically gifted. She actually plays softball at Michigan State now. So we had all her activities on the weekends and things. So I feel a little bit better
yeah.
about that. But it's still, again, you're focusing on what's not working right now. So it's just a
Mhm.
regular way of parenting. And so I have to work with a lot of parents to get them to release that guilt from themselves because we do the best we can with what we know and what we have at that time.
Yeah. When you're raising children, I have 3, so sometimes you are focusing on one because 'cause they're the ones that need the help the most, and the other 2 or however many you have are just
Yes,
figuring
yeah.
it out on their own.
It through no fault of their own or our own. It's just how it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So these sessions then, so 2 weeks of sessions, 2 times a day, and then what happens after that?
So that's when the symptoms will start improving. If you have
Mhm.
a more complicated case, which is includes those who are on the spectrum, who are
Mm,
over 65 years old, who have learning
mhm,
disabilities like dyslexia or dyscalculia or Parkinson's. So
mm,
there's a range. So it's like I tell everyone,
yeah.
each brain is different. So the brain mapping
Mhm,
is what I make my recommendations from, so I can know essentially what's under the hood and how to go forward. And then the programs that I have are all done at home too, which saves time and also
mhm,
so if it's 7 o'clock at night and you have the equipment, why not do a session? You have to worry about traveling to someone's office and see if
mm,
that person is there to complete the sessions. It's right at home.
mm.
I found that to be
Nice.
the most useful. And I'm so thankful that I do. A
Yeah,
lot of people appreciate that.
that's great. And so, like, how much of this neurofeedback would you have to do? Do you continue doing it for years and years, or is it something that you do for a certain amount of time and then
Sure.
stop and then start
Oh,
again? How does that all
absolutely.
work?
I have people who it's like chiropractic, they pick what they want. I had
Uh-huh.
a adult woman who was a more severe case and she completed her training sessions. That was a 5-month program. And after it, we did her follow-up brain mapping and it showed that she would benefit from some more. And she said, "Okay, doc, let's
Mhm,
just keep going." I said, "Let's take a break. Let's take about
mhm,
3 months off. You've been doing this twice a day for the past 5 months. I want you to enjoy your
mhm,
life." And like I tell parents
mhm,
too, if your child, your student has a game or a concert or something, they're doing something with friends and they can only get one in that day, let them go do that. I want them to enjoy it.
mm.
They need those social interactions. And it's also a great
Yeah.
way to see how the brain is functioning now. Before maybe they weren't
Mhm,
as social. Now they are a little more social or they don't mind speaking to people on the telephone. My oldest daughter, Mom, I don't want to call anybody. I say, "Hey, you gotta call somebody today."
yeah,
Like you won't
right.
practice. You have to practice.
Yeah,
So it just varies. So it's just
okay.
yeah, it varies.
So you diagnose depending on what the mind map looks like and what their needs
So
are.
I won't say the word diagnose, but I do make a recommendation based upon what that is.
Recommendation.
Yes, because the brain
Okay.
mapping is a functional assessment. It's not a diagnostic tool. So when I get the results
Right.
back from the report, I can't say you have ADHD, you have anxiety, you have depression,
Yeah,
you have PTSD. I can say this is where your brain is functioning well and this is where it's having some
I
challenges.
see. I see.
Mhm.
So it's more of a just a different way to say, here's what I see and how we can help you get there.
Yes, that's exactly it. One
I
of the
like
things
that.
that neurofeedback I wanted to share, neurofeedback uses is what's called operant conditioning, which is essentially a positive and negative reinforcement. So when they're actually doing the brain training, they're watching something on a streaming device. Let's say we're watching, I don't know, Charlie Brown. And so we're watching Charlie Brown, and when the brain is in the frequency that we'd like it to be in, Charlie Brown, and you hear what he's saying, when our brains go into that dysfunctional pattern, then the screen will fade. And so the whole screen will get darker, and then the volume goes down. And that's a signal to the brain, hey, you're not where you're supposed to be. So essentially they've gone outside of that frequency range. So those two things, the volume going down and the fading, tells the brain, hey, I want to go back to where I was, where I saw him well and I heard him well. So it's like almost an instantaneous representation of what's going on in your brain. And that's the positive and negative reinforcement. Positive, of course, seeing it well and hearing it well. Negative, the fading going down and the volume decreasing. And again, you don't have to sit there and concentrate and say, you're just watching the show. That's what I love about it. It's easy. If it weren't easy, my daughter wouldn't have done it. I'm telling you right now, she wouldn't have done it. And as far as those who want to continue on, like I use it for stress relief. I use it to make sure my brain stays sharp. My goal is to, I don't say never, not ever to retire per se, because I want to keep doing things. I want to be a centenarian driving around the corner on two wheels like I do now, still having all my senses and enjoying life. Neurofeedback is a great way to even stave off like Alzheimer's and dementia as a tool. It's not a cure-all. It's just a nice tool to have in your belt and on your team of professionals that you use.
Yeah. So what would someone need to do, like to take the steps if they know someone with ADHD, or they have a child with ADHD, or
Sure.
maybe for themselves, or maybe they just want to improve their brain function like you're talking about? What would the next steps be, or how would they go about doing neurofeedback?
Sure. To work with me, you can go to bookwithdrh.com. I have complimentary neural health calls, and I have a nationwide practice. So if you can be in Idaho, you can be in Wyoming, you can be in California. I'm based in Georgia. However, everything I do is virtual. You can just contact me and we can have a chat to see what's going on with you or a family member, to see if you're a candidate for neurofeedback therapy, and then to go from there.
Okay, great. So you could be from anywhere. You work nationwide.
Yes.
And so they can just visit your website. You do Zoom calls or what, and then you go from there.
That's it. If they go through my program and they are a candidate, then we ship the equipment out. I just had a onboarding call this morning with a young man who literally is probably 45 minutes away from where I am. And I was with him and his mom, showing him how to set himself up on the brain training. Yep, for the program.
Okay, cool. Let everyone know where people can find you and where they can get that information to sign up.
Sure. You can go to bookwithdrh.com. That is any way you spell doctor, you can still get to me. Or you can go to my website, which is Brain Core of Duluth. Brain Core like an apple, CORE of Duluth. D as in dog, ULUTH.com. I also wanted to, can I tell them about the gift?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
If you have a gift, that would be great. I love that you have a gift.
Yes, I have a gift for all of your listeners as a thank you for tuning in. That's the first chapter of my book, which is called Transform Your Brain with Neurofeedback. And I believe you'll have that in the notes. Yes. Okay. So I'll
Yeah,
talk
the show
about,
notes.
okay, thank you. Show notes. Thank you. I can't remember the name of it. Show notes.
Yeah.
I will. It just talks about how I got into neurofeedback and gives a little bit of background on what it is. And I wrote it
Awesome.
last year. Thank you.
Oh, great. So a brand new book, free chapter. You can go to her website and get it. We will put the link up in the show notes for you to get that. Thank you so much, Dr. Candace, for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Elite Expert Insider podcast. Please subscribe. And if you know anyone that this podcast can help, please share it with them. Of course, we're anywhere podcasts are, so you can share the YouTube video or iTunes or Spotify or anywhere you're listening.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full-spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.